who was J.D. Salinger. He had sought me out. He'd written me a letter after reading something I wrote. And at the time that I remained silent about that for 25 years. If this sounds familiar, it is familiar. It's a familiar story of women keeping the secrets of men, powerful men in particular. So when I finally gave myself permission to tell that story in At Home in the World, the response was really pretty brutal, that I should have kept my mouth shut. Not that I lied, but that I shouldn't have told. And I'd like to believe that book would be reviewed very differently now, and in fact, it is having a resurgence. Suddenly, a lot of people are reading that book again. I see it in when I go to my readings and my book visits and my festival visits, like Miami, for The Best of Us, that people want to read At Home in the World now. And of course, events of recent weeks. I'm thinking of Harvey Weinstein, but so many others.
Yeah, there seems to be a new one every single day. It's just amazing.
Well, there needs to be women of all ages, but certainly young women, have been told for all of eternity that that they should remain silent to protect the man. And it is my message in that book that there's one thing you should never take from anybody, and that is his or her own story. This we own. This belongs to us.
That is true. And I've thought, with all the things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, was I ever harassed growing up? Because I was in business at 21. There weren't a lot of women in business. I've been in business for over 50 years. I worked from the time I was 13. And I guess I was sexually harassed, but I just didn't realize it. And I never...
There was no word for it then, was there?
And I was, I just kind of laughed it off, and just went on my merry way doing the things I wanted to do. But I must say, because of the way I was raised with my mom, who made both my sister and I very, very independent women, that I was never afraid to say something. I mean, if I thought something needed to be said, I said it. I just didn't equal what was happening to me as harassment. But still, if you're talking about a time that and a controversy, how did it get translated into 17 languages?
Well, I think what that says is that it's a universal story. That it's not just the story of a young American woman, and it's certainly not just the story of a girl with that man, but it's something that in different forms happens all over the world, and sometimes to men as well as women, incidentally, although it's much more prevalent for women, of course. But I get letters still, 19 years after the publication of that book. I get letters still every week from women in countries all over the globe, places I've never been, who say, I recognize myself in your story. And of course, that's what I look to accomplish in everything I write. The Best of Us is a book that I hope will speak to anybody who's had a big loss. And to those lucky people who haven't yet, the recognition that death is a part of life. And if we're lucky enough to live a life of any duration, we will not only die ourselves, but we will lose people we love along the way. And how do we survive that? How do we make sense of that?
Well,
it's a big taboo in our culture. People do not like to talk about death. And it has always been my way to shine a light on those topics that people don't like to talk about. I started doing that pretty young, talking about growing up in an alcoholic family. That was a forbidden subject for a lot of years in my home. Because I think there's nothing that it helps us more in sort of overcoming the terror of something than to look it square in the eye and confront it. And suddenly it's not quite so frightening anymore. I hope that's true with the new story, that I'm looking at an experience that many people don't want to think about. And I have heard again and again from people who read the book, I was afraid to read it, they will say, but once I read it, I was so comforted and nourished by it.
Well, I think with the events that have been happening in the world lately, that people are looking at death a little bit differently. I think people are saying, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so you need to really put your intentions and your hopes and dreams into reality now. Don't say someday, because maybe someday's not going to be there. So I think people are looking at things a little bit differently now, and they're not as afraid to take that step that allows them to do something that may be out of their comfort zone. So I think that's a lot of what's happening as well. But what do you hope to accomplish with this book, the one that
Well,
The Best of Us?
The Best of Us, number one, I want to give readers what I always intend to give readers, which is a good story. This is a good story. It's a love story, and it's full of joyful, romantic, poignant moments. And like a lot of love stories and a lot of good stories, it's got some real pain and tragedy even too. But I want to keep, my goal is to keep somebody up way past their bedtime, turning the pages, and that's what I hear happens with this one.
Oh wow! I like that. I like that. I like that analogy. I really do. Keep you up past your bedtime, turning the pages. I love it. I love it.
I take a lot of pride in keeping people up till 3 a.m. And when it's over, I want the story to stay with you, and I think it will. I love hearing from people weeks after they've read this book that they're still thinking about it, and that it has changed them in some ways. Of course, that's what I want. I want a book to take you somewhere that you haven't been before.
And how long does it usually take you to write a book?
Well, I have to say, I wrote this one really fast. My husband died in June of 2016, and I started writing it that night. And the first draft of it was done at the end of that summer. But I continued working it again and again, going over and over and over it to make it better and stronger. It was very hard for me to relinquish that. Every book is different. My book Labor Day came out really fast in a couple of weeks. It was just a sort of otherworldly experience where I felt as if my character was almost narrating the book for me, and I was just typing. Sometimes my book, Under the Influence, took a year and a half. It varied a lot. But this one, I just burned to tell this story, and I wanted to capture that moment while it was still so freshly with me.
Wow!
And I did, I think.
Well, let me ask you. We have just a couple of minutes left. How would you like people to get in touch with you, Joyce? What's the best way to?
Well, I'm very proud of the website that I've created. First of all, thank you for asking, Gail. I've created a website that, among other things, has a wonderful video that's sort of the video version of our story. It's Jim and me, and you can find that on joycemaynard.com, and you can see where my memoir workshops are coming up, and lots of other things that I've written and want to share with readers. So just joycemaynard.com, and there's a way of reaching me there too.
Fantastic. Well, now, for those of you that may not
be at those festivals.
Well, if you don't know how to spell Maynard, I know you know how to spell Joyce, but Maynard is Maynard. So it's joycemaynard.com. You can find out more about her there and the workshops that she teaches. And it sounds like they are terrific, and they should be. You should really be able to take advantage of those. So, and she will be at the book fair. So it's important that you look her up. So I tell you, Joyce, this has been a wonderful, wonderful education for me. And I think it's marvelous the way you can put life happenings into words that other people can't ignore and can't put down. You can't ask for more than that. I think that's wonderful.
I feel lucky that I get to do this work, and it was good talking with you, Gail.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And it's good to know that there are people out there who are working as writers and succeeding as writers, and they don't have to be the starving artists anymore. Thank you so much for being with us, Joyce, and we really enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to Miami. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I choose my guests carefully, so if you have someone you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out my intro program, Mindset Matters, at www.sobmindset.com. See you next week.